Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with your heart racing and a feeling of panic, not exactly knowing why? As if the world were collapsing around you, but nothing was actually happening? Imagine living like that every day, an internal storm that never seems to pass. This is the story of Alex, an ordinary man who, in the eyes of everyone, had a perfect life. But inside, a silent battle was unfolding. Alex was facing something that many of us know well but few talk about: anxiety. Let's follow Alex on his journey, from the first signs of this invisible struggle, through the darkest moments, to the search for a way out. A story of pain, overcoming, and above all, hope. Stay with me. Because sometimes the greatest battle we fight is against our own thoughts. And in every battle, there is a powerful lesson waiting to be discovered. Let's go back in time before the internal storm began. Alex was a man like any other. He had a good job, a loving family, and friends who were always around. To everyone, he had everything one could wish for. But there was more. Alex had dreams. He wanted to advance in his career, travel the world, and experience life to its fullest. Every day was an opportunity, every moment a chance to do something new and exciting. Mornings began with a smile and a cup of coffee. The routine was calm, even predictable. But this predictability brought a sense of security and comfort. It was a simple life, but full of small joys. However, what no one knew, not even Alex, was that this tranquility was about to be shaken. What seemed to be a perfect life hit a vulnerability, a crack where anxiety would find space to grow. What could have happened to change all this? How did Alex's life, so full of promise, begin to unravel? Stay with me, and let's discover together how a series of seemingly harmless events triggered the most challenging struggle of his life. It all started subtly. Alex began to notice that things that once made him happy now made him uneasy. Some mornings, instead of getting up excited, he felt a weight on his chest, an inexplicable feeling that something was wrong. One of those mornings, while having his coffee, he mentioned to his wife, "I can't explain it, but it feels like I'm always waiting for something bad to happen." She looked at him with concern in her eyes. "Maybe you're just tired, Alex. We could take a few days off." But it wasn't just fatigue. Nights started to become more difficult. Alex would lie down but couldn't sleep. He would stare at the ceiling, his mind racing. And when he finally fell asleep, he would wake up in the middle of the night with his heart pounding for no apparent reason. During the day, feelings of suffocation and shortness of breath would come out of nowhere. At work, he started to feel constantly distracted, worried about things that once seemed trivial. He tried to explain to his colleagues, "It's like my mind can't switch off. I worry about everything, all the time." They tried to console him. "Relax, Alex. Everyone has bad phases. It will pass." But it didn't pass. The worries began to dominate his thoughts. He started avoiding gatherings with friends, fearing they would notice his restlessness. Even simple activities, like going to the supermarket, became torture, with the constant fear of being overwhelmed by a wave of anxiety. And it was on one of those lonely, sleepless nights that Alex realized he needed to do something. He looked into the mirror with tired eyes and asked himself, "Why is this happening to me? What's wrong?" With no clear answers, Alex knew only that he couldn't continue like this. The internal storm was growing, and he needed to find a way to face it before it consumed him completely. As the days went by, Alex's anxiety began to affect every aspect of his life. At work, he, who used to be one of the most productive employees, started making mistakes. His colleagues noticed, but didn't know how to help. One day, his boss called him in for a talk. "Alex, you don't seem like yourself lately. Is everything okay?" Alex tried to disguise his feelings, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, just a bit overwhelmed. I'll get back on track." but he knew he wasn't fine. At home, the situation was also worsening. The sleepless nights continued, and he started to isolate himself, avoiding even his family. His wife, worried, tried to talk to him several times. "Alex, I'm here for you. We'll face this together." He nodded, trying to believe her words, but the feeling of suffocation and constant restlessness was hard to explain. Moments of peace became rare. Anxiety was now his constant companion. The physical symptoms began to intensify. Palpitations, chest pains, a sensation of being on the verge of collapse. One day, in the middle of a meeting, he felt a wave of panic so strong that he had to leave the room abruptly. Locked in the bathroom, he tried to catch his breath, fighting back tears. "What is happening to me?" he whispered to himself, feeling increasingly lost. His relationships with friends also began to suffer. He started declining invitations, and the few times he went out, he felt out of place, as if he were trapped in a bubble of anxiety that separated him from others. A concerned friend commented, "Alex, you're not the same. We miss you." But how could he explain something he didn't fully understand himself? The feeling of being constantly judged, the fear of falling apart at any moment, were emotions that couldn't be easily shared. Alex's life was in decline. The internal storm that once was just a dark cloud had now become a devastating hurricane. He knew something needed to change, but he still didn't know how or where to find the help he so desperately needed. Alex felt like he was waging a constant war within his own mind. Each morning he woke up with a heavier burden on his shoulders, and the anxiety seemed to grow uncontrollably. The days became an endless battle to maintain the appearance of normality. He tried to hide his struggle, but the effort was taking its toll. One afternoon, while trying to focus on work, his heart started racing again. He looked at the computer screen, but the words seemed jumbled. Fear overwhelmed him. "I can't go on like this," he thought, feeling tears welling up in his eyes. "I need to find a way out." In the silence of his home, he began to reflect on his options. He spent hours researching anxiety, reading testimonials from people who had gone through similar experiences. He tried practicing breathing techniques and meditation, but the sense of despair never completely disappeared. At night, he found himself in internal dialogues, questioning his choices and blaming himself for his condition. In one of those moments of introspection, he looked into the mirror and murmured, "I have to be stronger. But how? What more can I do?" The sense of isolation was overwhelming. He didn't want to burden his wife or friends with his problems, fearing they wouldn't understand the depth of his struggle. This made him feel even more alone in his internal battle. One day, while walking through the park trying to find a moment of peace, he found an empty bench and sat down. He looked at the trees gently swaying in the wind and tried to lose himself in that moment. But even there, the restlessness didn't leave him. Then, a memory of an old conversation came back to him. A friend had once mentioned a wise monk who lived in a distant temple, known for helping people find inner peace. Desperate for any form of relief, Alex decided that this might be his last hope. "Maybe he can help me understand what's happening inside me," he thought, feeling a spark of hope for the first time in a long while. The decision was made. Alex knew that his journey to find the wise monk wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to try anything to find the peace he so desperately desired. The decision to seek out the wise monk gave Alex a new sense of purpose, but the journey would be long and full of challenges. He packed his things and set off, determined to find answers. The path to the temple was remote and rugged. After days of travel, Alex finally reached the base of a mountain where the temple was located. He felt exhausted but determined. Upon arrival, he was greeted by a young apprentice who, seeing Alex's expression, immediately understood the gravity of his visit. "I'm here to see the wise monk," Alex said. his voice laden with anxiety and hope. The apprentice led him along a stone path to a small cabin atop the mountain. There, sitting in silence, was the monk, a man with a serene appearance. His eyes seemed to see through Alex. "What brings you here, young one?" the monk asked in a calm and welcoming voice. Alex took a deep breath, trying to control the tears that threatened to fall. "I can't take it anymore. Anxiety is destroying my life. I need help. I need peace." The monk observed him for a moment, then pointed to a stone beside him. "Sit down, my child. Let's talk." Alex sat down, feeling a bit more relieved just by being in the monk's presence. The monk began to speak, but instead of giving immediate advice, he asked simple questions, leading Alex to reflect on his life, his choices, and his fears. "Why do you think you feel so anxious?" the monk asked, looking directly into Alex's eyes. Alex thought for a moment, struggling to find an answer. "I don't know. It's like something is always telling me that something bad is going to happen. I can't shut it off." The monk nodded, as if he had expected this answer. Anxiety is our body's way of alerting us to danger. But sometimes we become prisoners of these alerts. We need to learn to distinguish what is real from what is imaginary. They spent hours talking, and gradually, Alex began to feel calmer, as if the monk's wisdom was starting to penetrate his turbulent mind. "You need to learn to live in the present, Alex. The past is gone, and the future has not yet arrived. All we have is now." These words resonated deeply with Alex. He realized that his mind was always trapped in what-ifs and should-haves, instead of focusing on what was truly happening in the moment. By the end of that day, Alex felt exhausted, but also hopeful. He knew this was just the first step of his journey, but for the first time in a long while, he felt he had found a path that could lead him to the peace he so desperately desired. In the days that followed, Alex began living at the temple, spending time with the wise monk and his apprentices. The routine was simple yet disciplined. Alex woke up early, participated in meditations, and performed daily tasks that helped him concentrate on the present. One morning, while they were watching the sunrise, the monk approached Alex. "Today we will talk about the mind," the monk said, sitting down beside him. "The anxiety you feel is like a bird trapped in a cage, desperately flapping its wings to break free. To calm it, you need to open the cage door." Alex looked puzzled. "And how do I do that?" The monk smiled gently. "By understanding your thoughts and accepting them, instead of fighting against them. Let's start with breathing. When you feel anxious, focus on your breath. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly, feeling each movement of air in your body." Alex tried to follow the advice, closing his eyes and concentrating on his breathing. Initially, his mind wandered, but over time he began to feel a lightness he hadn't experienced in a long time. Later, as they walked through the temple gardens, the monk continued to teach. Anxiety often stems from the fear of the unknown, the uncertain future. But remember, the future is just a series of nows that haven't happened yet. Focus on what you can do now. During one of these walks, Alex opened up more about his fears and insecurities. "Sometimes I feel weak for not being able to control my anxiety. I feel like I'm failing myself and the people I love." The monk stopped and looked at Alex with compassion. "It is not weakness to admit that we need help. On the contrary, it is a sign of strength. We all face internal battles, and there is no shame in seeking support to overcome them." These words resonated deeply with Alex. He began to see his anxiety not as an enemy, but as a part of himself that needed understanding and care. Over the weeks, Alex learned to meditate, live in the present, and find peace in small things. Each day brought new challenges, but also new achievements. He discovered that peace was not something he would find outside himself, but something he needed to cultivate within. One night before bed, Alex thanked the monk. "I don't have words to express how much this is helping me. I feel like I'm starting to find myself again." The monk nodded with a serene smile. "Remember, Alex, the journey to inner peace is continuous. Every step you take is progress. Keep cultivating this calm and understanding your mind. You are on the right path." As the weeks passed, Alex began to notice significant changes within himself. He no longer felt overwhelmed by anxiety at every moment. The monk's teachings were starting to make sense, becoming a part of his daily life. One morning during a meditation session, Alex felt a deep calm that he hadn't experienced in a long time. When he opened his eyes, he saw the monk watching him with a satisfied smile. "You are beginning to find the peace within you," the monk said. "Remember, this peace has always been there. You just needed to learn how to access it." Alex nodded, feeling grateful. He was learning to live in the present, to accept his thoughts and emotions without judging them. Each day brought new challenges, but he now had the tools to face them. One day, the monk decided to take Alex on a longer walk to a sacred place high up in the mountain. As they climbed, the monk spoke about the importance of perseverance. "The journey to inner peace is like this climb," the monk explained. "There will be moments when it seems difficult, almost impossible, but each step you take brings you closer to the top. The key is to keep going, even when it seems hard." When they reached the top, the view was breathtaking. Alex felt a sense of accomplishment and tranquility. He took a deep breath, appreciating the present moment. "This place is beautiful," Alex said, turning to the monk. "Thank you for bringing me here." The monk smiled. "The beauty you see here is a reflection of the peace you are finding within yourself. Never forget that." Back at the temple, Alex began helping the other apprentices, sharing his experience and what he had learned. He found purpose in helping others face their own internal battles, feeling that each small victory was also his own. One night, while gazing at the stars, Alex reflected on his journey. He knew that anxiety was still a part of his life, but now he saw it differently. It was no longer an enemy, but a part of his human experience that he could accept and manage. He wrote a letter to his wife, telling her about his accomplishments and how eager he was to share what he had learned when he returned home. He felt stronger, more aware, and better prepared to face the world. "My dear," he wrote, "I am finding the peace I have always sought. It has not been an easy journey, but it was necessary. I can't wait to be with you again and continue this journey together." Alex knew that his transformation was not complete, but he was on the right path. The inner peace he was cultivating was a light that would guide him, no matter how dark the storm might seem. The days at the temple turned into weeks, and each moment was filled with discoveries and growth for Alex. He was eager to return home, but now he felt equipped with a new perspective and tools to manage his anxiety. On the last night before his departure, Alex and the monk sat together around a campfire. The monk looked at Alex with his wise eyes and said, "Alex, you have come a long way. Remember that the peace you found here is within you. Wherever you go, it will go with you." Alex nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and emotion. "Thank you, Master. I can never repay what you have done for me." The monk smiled serenely. "You are already repaying it, Alex. Every person you help, every act of kindness you perform, will reflect what you have learned here. Go and share this peace with the world." The next day, Alex descended the mountain and returned to his city. He was greeted with joy and warm embraces by his wife and friends. They noticed a change in him, a calmness and confidence that hadn't been there before. Back in his routine, Alex began to apply the monk's teachings to his daily life. He set aside time for meditation, practiced mindful breathing, and remembered to live in the present. When anxiety arose, he welcomed it like an old acquaintance, but didn't let it dominate him. At work, he started leading with a new perspective, encouraging an environment of support and understanding. He openly shared his experiences, helping colleagues who also faced anxiety and stress. One afternoon, while sitting in his office, Alex received a message from a friend who was going through a difficult time. Without hesitation, he replied, "Come see me. We can talk and find a way together." This simple gesture became part of his new mission, to help others find the peace he had discovered. Each person he helped, each small act of kindness, was a step in his own ongoing journey of healing. One evening, while watching the sunset with his wife, Alex reflected on everything he had been through. The inner storm that once terrified him now seemed distant, like an echo of a past he had overcome. "You seem different, Alex," his wife said, holding his hand. "More present, more at peace." He smiled, feeling deep gratitude. "I've learned that peace is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to face them with serenity. And I couldn't have done it without you and the monk." Alex's journey against anxiety wasn't a fairy tale with a perfect ending, but a real story of continuous growth and overcoming challenges. He knew there would be difficult days, but now he had the strength and wisdom to face them. Thus, Alex became a beacon of hope for those around him, proving that even in the darkest nights, there is always a light waiting to be found. His story was an inspiration, a reminder that with courage and support, anyone can overcome their greatest fears and find inner peace. Alex's journey teaches us a valuable lesson about our own daily lives. We all face internal challenges, whether they are anxiety, fear, or any other mental battle. His story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is hope and a path to healing. First, we need to recognize our feelings and accept that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but of courage. Whether through a friend, a professional, or a wise mentor like the monk, finding someone to guide us can make all the difference. Secondly, practicing presence is fundamental. Anxiety often traps us in worries about the future or regrets about the past. Learning to focus on the present, to value each moment, and to breathe deeply can transform our life experience. Moreover, true peace comes from within. No external circumstance can give us the tranquility we seek. It's an internal daily work that requires patience and persistence. Meditation, mindful breathing, and the acceptance of our thoughts are powerful tools to cultivate this peace. Remember, life is a series of ups and downs. We don't need to win all battles at once. Small steps, like those Alex took, lead us to progress and transformation. Every victory, no matter how small, is a significant advancement. Finally, never underestimate the power of sharing your journey. By helping others, we find purpose and strength. Your experience can be the light that guides someone in their own darkness. So, how can you apply this to your life? Start by recognizing your struggles and accepting that it's human to have difficulties. Seek support when necessary, practice being present, and cultivate inner peace daily. And above all, share your journey. Every act of kindness and understanding you offer makes the world a bit brighter. You have the strength within you to overcome any challenge. Believe in that and take one step at a time. The journey may be long, but the peace and joy you will find will make every effort worthwhile. If you enjoyed the story and it resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next videos. So, until the next video.